Aaron.
Yeah.
Why didn't you say it the first time I said Aaron?
Because it's pronounced Aaron?
You done messed up, Aaron!
Aaron here. Thanks for joining me, everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Marc Headley is publishing some bombshell leaked documents that he's had in his possession for a long time, but he's making them public over on his YouTube channel, Blown for Good. I definitely suggest subscribing to his channel. I'm going to summarize for you a document that he posted a couple days ago that is concrete evidence from Scientology's own files that they hired a private investigator to surveil Marc and have him followed, to surveil his wife, to pick up their trash, to go through their auditing files and dig up any dirt, and to figure out how to coerce and blackmail Marc to stop posting critical information about Scientology on the internet. Yes, that's right. This was all in retaliation for simply making posts on the internet critical of Scientology and critical of David Miscavige. Here you can see the first page of this two-page document. This is dated back in 2006. By the way, my understanding, and I could be wrong about this, but I'm pretty sure, is that Marc got these documents from Marty Rathbun, actually, after Marty Rathbun defected from Scientology's international base, and he was a big whistleblower for a while, before he turned double agent, or I don't know, maybe it's triple agent, and went back to working for David Miscavige. So this is, to anyone who ever spent any time on Scientology staff or in the Sea organization, they will recognize the validity of this document, just the format, the post titles. There's an awful lot of Scientology words that I'm not going to try to define. In fact, Marc does define them in the video over on his channel. So again, go check out the Blown for Good channel. But here's just some of the information from it. New Clambake poster, possibly Marc Headley. Clambake was an internet message board where former Scientologists were posting critical information, and all Marc did was post anonymously on this site, and instantly the wheels went into motion behind the scenes at International Management trying to figure out who this was, and they were pretty sure that it was Marc Headley. It says there's a new former int-based staff member posting on Clambake using the name Blown for Good. Int-base is the international base. That's Scientology's confidential management base out in California. It's not confidential to us in the real world, but in Scientology, nobody knows the location of it. You're not supposed to know the location of it. You get in trouble for even asking the location of it. And anyway, it's called the int base. The postings are attached. Based on the data reviewed so far, we believe this is possibly Marc Headley. Again, I'm not going to read the whole document. It's got too many Scientology words in it, so I'm just going to skip ahead. Marc Headley is the most likely suspect. He could have known many of the datums noted in these postings. He's done nothing on his steps. So steps refers to the actions that Marc Headley was supposed to be doing if he wanted to get back into the good graces of Scientology. So he's done nothing on his steps and just came up in the last 24 hours as having contacted a Scientologist in good standing, Marcy Sargent, to tell her that her son Trevor was not doing well a year ago, and she should let him know that he, Marc, would take care of him if he ever left. So this is Marc contacted a Scientologist whose son also had worked at the international base, and Marc was basically saying, hey, a year ago, your son was not doing very well. He really wanted to leave, and by the way, if he ever does leave, I'll help take care of him. So that was very nice of Marc, but that Scientologist then went and immediately reported Marc to the Scientology authorities for having said something so negative about an int-based staff member, in this case, her own son. In fact, this report even says Marcy toasted Headley and told him never to call her again. She wrote a report and sent this to me today. I've actually never heard the word toasted used in that way in Scientology. I might expect it to say roasted or something. Anyway, I thought that was funny. Here's where it gets insane, guys. These are the handling steps. Remember, this document is being sent by an executive at Scientology's Office of Special Affairs, also known as OSA. They handle legal, public relations. They also handle all of the lawyers, private investigators, thugs. They handle all the harassment of former members and critics. And this is what she, Kirsten Catano was her name at this time. Now it's Kirsten Peterson. This is what she was proposing to her seniors to handle Marc Headley. Step number one, pull all legal documents that Marc and Claire Headley have ever signed. Number two, get all the Headley files to OSA Int immediately and get them reviewed for any data that would assist in getting Marc backed off. Get all the Headley files to OSA Int, that's OSA International, means their auditing files, their ethics files, and their personnel files. This is concrete evidence that Scientology will go through your so-called confidential auditing files to dig up dirt and points of weakness, to coerce and blackmail you into doing the things that they want you to do. Step 3, get all possible invest checks done on the Headleys to find out who exactly they are in comm with. Invest just, of course, to investigation. And this just refers to anyone that is available as a resource to Scientology to look into these things based on present time information or past information to ascertain to ascertain who they are exactly in comm with. In comm means in communication with. That's a very common Scientology abbreviation is comm. Okay, so 4, concurrently get a private investigator onto finding out exactly where Marc works and any other personal weaknesses he may have that can be used in handling him to stop. This is completely in addition to using their auditing files for that exact same purpose. This is having them followed to find dirt that can be used to coerce and blackmail. Absolutely incredible. Step number 5, get the legal documents they have signed reviewed and get a letter sent to Marc based on what he has signed in the past, letting him know he has violated these agreements and is to cease his violations. 6, once his files data has been reviewed and immediate invest actions done, work out and propose the final handling to get him to cease his suppressive acts. Well, that has sort of some dark insinuations, as if the steps above weren't already enough to be described as a final handling. This seems to be even an escalation from those prior items. Step 7, work out how to get Suzette B. Suzette B is Shelley Miscavige's sister-in-law. Work out how to get Suzette B, who lives in a house behind the Headley's house, debugged on her A to E steps. So again, A to E steps are the steps that once someone is declared a suppressive person, you do steps A through E in order to get back into the good graces of Scientology. So get her debugged on her A to E steps. Geez, another Scientology word. In Scientology, bugged means there's something wrong with it. It's slowed or stopped. It's not progressing. It's not happening. Getting something debugged means getting it resolved so that it is moving along acceptably or occurring the way that you would expect. So in other words, Shelley Miscavige's sister-in-law had essentially been expelled from Scientology. She was probably in some sort of provisional gray area, but would not be considered back in good standing unless she herself had fully completed the steps that someone is required to do after they are declared a suppressive person. Shelley Miscavige's own sister-in-law was in that state, and she was living in like a mother-in-law suite in Marc and Claire Headley's backyard. And so they realized, Marc and Claire Headley, looks like they've gone over to the dark side. Shelley Miscavige's sister, David Miscavige's sister-in-law, might be in that same boat. We have to urgently get her moving on her A to E steps. So this document ends by saying, this is okay. That's kind of a funny thing that gets done in Scientology. Actually, L. Ron Hubbard said it had to be done so that the person making the proposal of what should be done is actually the one taking full responsibility for the proposal instead of pushing that responsibility up to the seniors to whom the proposal is being submitted. So even once the senior approves the proposal, it's still your proposal and you're fully responsible for everything that might go wrong with that proposal. Isn't that kind of an interesting piece of the Scientology culture? So anyway, Marc has an entire cache of documents very similar to this one, all pertaining to him. When Marty Rathbun left Scientology, he brought a bunch of stuff with him, and he gave Marc explained this in his video, he gave Marc documents that pertain specifically to him. So he's doing a whole series of videos going document by document, showing these things, explaining what they mean. And I got to tell you, I have never seen that I can recall documents like this out in the wild. Actual correspondence between someone at middle management. OSA International is technically middle management. It's not international management. And yet these documents are coming from OSA Int at middle management and are being sent to some of the senior most managers at international management. And I'm not going to define all these things, but let's go back to the first page and you'll see here that on the CC list is WDC OSA. That post at that time was most likely Mike Rinder himself before he left Scientology. It was either Mike Rinder or perhaps one or two other people, but Mike commented on this and said at this time, there's actually a very high likelihood that it was Mike himself. So I hope you enjoyed that, guys. There is a lot more like this to come. Mark will post the full videos on his channel. I'll keep doing reaction videos to them on my channel. That's all I got on this for now. Thank you for watching and listening. Thanks to everyone who watches until the very end, and I'll talk to you soon.
Okay, if you want to see my rock and roll songs, click right on this guitar. And if you want to see a different one of my videos, then you could click right inside here. If you have subscribed or not, subscribe right here. Bye.